The air crackled with an electric hum. It wasn't just the bass thrumming beneath the floorboards of Club Echelon. The scent of expensive perfume mingled with the bite of top-shelf liquor. Crystals glittered from every surface, refracting the dim lights into a dizzying constellation. Echelon wasn't just a nightclub, it was a siren song for the city's elite. A place where fortunes were won and lost on a whim. But beneath the surface of opulence and revelry, a secret festered. Echelon was more than a playground for the rich and powerful. Tonight the club throbbed with its usual frenetic energy, oblivious to the storm brewing in its heart. Her name was Laura, and she was about to bring the house of cards crashing down.
Laura adjusted the diamond necklace that graced her throat, its weight a familiar pressure against her skin. It wasn't hers, of course. Every inch of her ensemble, from the designer gown to the ruby-encrusted clutch, was a carefully crafted facade. Her reflection in the polished silver tray of champagne flutes she carried was that of a woman at ease in this world of extravagance. Her smile was confident, her eyes sparkled with calculated mischief. No one would suspect the turmoil that churned beneath the surface. She moved through the throng with practiced ease, a predator in a sea of silken sharks. Her objective to blend in, to observe, and to infiltrate the inner sanctum of Echelon, the secret society that lurked beneath the club's shimmering veneer. The disappearance of her friend, a journalist obsessed with exposing Echelon's secrets, had set her on this perilous path. Tonight, she was playing with fire, and the stakes had never been higher.
Weeks of meticulous planning had led Laura to this point. She had studied Echelon's patterns, learned the names and faces of its key players. Her cover was impeccable, her wealthy socialite persona a carefully constructed illusion. But as she ventured deeper into the club's labyrinthine heart, a sense of unease prickled at the edges of her composure. The music dulled, the air thickening with the aroma of aged whiskey and clandestine deals as she descended a hidden staircase. This was no ordinary VIP section. Laura caught snippets of conversations, cryptic phrases, names dropped like stones in a still pond, the clinking of glasses a rhythmic counterpoint to the hushed negotiations taking place around her. Echelon's secrets ran deep, and they were intertwined with a network of influence that stretched far beyond the club's velvet ropes.
A velvet rope, thicker than a man's arm, barred the entrance to the most exclusive section of the club. Two imposing figures, their suits cut like armor, guarded the threshold. Their eyes, cold and calculating, swept over Laura with an intensity that sent a shiver down her spine. This was the inner sanctum, the heart of the beast. She produced a platinum card, its minimalist design whispering of unimaginable wealth and influence. The guards' postures shifted, their scrutiny softening a fraction as they acknowledged the card's significance. With a curt nod, the velvet rope was lowered, granting her access to the inner sanctum. The air within crackled with a different kind of energy, not the frenetic pulse of the dance floor, but a focused intensity that hummed with unspoken power. This was the domain of Echelon's elite, the puppet masters who pulled the strings of the city and beyond. She had crossed a line, infiltrated a world few even knew existed.
The room was shrouded in an almost reverent silence, broken only by the soft clinking of crystal glasses. A massive mahogany table dominated the space, its polished surface reflecting the dim light. Around it sat the elite of Echelon, their faces etched with an intoxicating blend of boredom and anticipation. Titans of industry, political powerhouses, and shadowy figures whose influence whispered through the corridors of power. Laura's breath caught in her throat. This was it, the heart of the beast. The room where fortunes were decided, and lives were forever altered. Her eyes darted to the center of the table, drawn to a collection of antique chess pieces. Each piece was crafted from precious metals and adorned with gemstones that glittered wickedly in the low light. This was the true power of Echelon, and she was about to witness it firsthand. A hush fell over the room as a man rose from his seat at the head of the table. His face was a study in contrasts, sharp cheekbones and piercing blue eyes softened by a smile that never quite reached his eyes. He exuded an aura of quiet authority, the kind that came from wielding immense power with effortless grace. "Welcome," he greeted the room, his voice a low, resonant rumble that seemed to vibrate in the very air itself. "Tonight we play a game of chance and strategy, of wit and cunning. His eyes, sharp as shards of ice, swept over the assembled players, lingering on Laura for a beat too long. She fought to maintain her composure, her heart pounding against her ribs like a captive bird. The rules of the game were explained in clipped, precise tones. But as the game unfolded, Laura realized that the lines between fiction and reality were blurred.
As the game progressed, tension crackled in the air, thick and suffocating as smoke. Whispers of deals struck and alliances forged snaked around the table, each player vying for an advantage. Laura played her role flawlessly, her carefully constructed facade holding strong. She mirrored the calculated risks, the subtle manipulations, and the steeled expressions of those around her. All the while her mind raced, desperately searching for a connection to her missing friend. And then she saw him. Across the table, his face half hidden in shadow, sat a man she recognized instantly. It was him, the source she had met with, the one who had promised her friend information about Echelon, the one who had vanished without a trace shortly after. Her blood ran cold. He was alive, but what was he doing here? Was he a player in this twisted game or a captive, forced to participate in this charade? She had to make a choice, continue the charade, maintain her cover, and hope to glean some information about her friend's fate, or risk everything to confront the man across the table and demand answers.
Laura's mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Fear for her own safety warred with the desperate need to uncover the truth about her friend's disappearance. She stole glances at the man across the table, studying his every move, every subtle shift in expression, searching for any clue that might lead her to her friend. But the more she observed, the more she realized the depth of danger she was in. These people, these players in Echelon's twisted games, were not to be trifled with. They wielded power like a weapon, their influence extending far beyond the gilded walls of this club. To expose them, to challenge their authority, was to invite a reckoning she might not survive. And yet the memory of her friend, his unwavering pursuit of the truth, fueled her resolve.
As the night wore on, the games grew more intense, the stakes escalating with each passing round. I witnessed firsthand the ruthlessness with which these individuals pursued their goals, the casual cruelty they inflicted upon those who stood in their way. Alliances were forged and broken with a whispered word, fortunes won and lost on the turn of a card. They were like addicts, hooked on the thrill of power, the intoxicating allure of controlling the fates of others. And I, unwittingly, had become complicit in their twisted games. A wave of nausea washed over me, the weight of my deception, the moral compromises I had made to infiltrate this world, pressing down on me with suffocating force. I had crossed lines I never thought I would cross, all in the pursuit of truth, of justice for my friend. But at what cost? The final game of the night was about to begin. The tension in the room was palpable, a living, breathing entity that coiled around the players, squeezing the air from their lungs. The stakes had never been higher, the consequences of failure more dire. I could feel it in the air, a sense of impending doom that hung over the proceedings like a shroud. I had gathered enough information, enough pieces of the puzzle, to expose Echelon and their clandestine activities. But I was trapped, caught in the undertow of their dangerous games, and extricating myself, and the truth would require a gamble of my own. As the final pieces were moved into place, I made my move. It was a calculated risk, a desperate gambit that could either expose Echelon's secrets to the world or cost me everything. The room fell silent, the players stunned into silence by my audacity. Then, slowly, deliberately, I laid my cards on the table, revealing the truth of Echelon's activities, their manipulation, their web of deceit. I stood amidst the chaos, the eye of the storm. Fear, cold and sharp, coursed through my veins, but it was eclipsed by a strange sense of exhilaration. I had done it. I had exposed Echelon, ripped away the veil of secrecy and revealed the ugliness that lurked beneath. The man I had recognized, my friend's contact, stared at me, his face a mask of shock and betrayal. In that moment, our eyes locked and I saw a flicker of warning, a silent plea for me to disappear. But it was too late. The die was cast. As accusations and threats swelled around me, I knew I had to escape. Slipping away unnoticed amidst the chaos, I vanished into the night, the echoes of shattered illusions and the weight of my discoveries heavy on my shoulders.